Welcome to Stock Time to Improv. I'm Mary Scott with Business Riff, and I want startups to be wildly successful. Today, I'm happy to have Trish Carr from the Women's Prosperity Network. We're going to be talking about sales. Welcome, Trish.
Hi, thank you, Mary. I'm so excited to be here.
Very cool. So sales, if you're not in revenue, you're in sales, right? This is something that startups absolutely know or need to if they're real early stage. So let's talk about sales.
Sales is the lifeblood of business, right? It's the thing that keeps the business running. And it's the one thing that's the most challenging for most new business owners because they have this great idea that they can do something and make a difference for the world. And they have to create that and then sell that. And they get stuck a little bit in the creating at the very beginning. And they're creating, I'm going to create this workshop for people. I'm going to create this product for people. And I'm like, do people even want it? That's how you have to start, is do people even want it? So sales is the grease that keeps your business running.
So what are some tips about sales? People always talk about like used car salesmen and they hate sales.
Yeah.
What's a different way of looking at it?
Well, I look at sales as, instead of closing a sale, I look at things as opening a relationship. Because everything in life comes to us through other people, right? If you're buying a new house, it's the realtor who's going to help you get it. It's the title company that's going to make sure that it's legally yours. No matter what you're buying, you want a cup of coffee, you're paying that barista at Starbucks $5 for it, right? So everything we want comes through other people. And it's only through relationships that really works. Now, yes, there are transactional sales. This product is so good, it sells itself. You hear about that, it happens. But for the most part, it's about being in a relationship with someone. And that means being interested rather than interesting. True sales come not from you speaking, but from you listening and asking the right questions. It's about you doing the listening. What are they interested in? What's their life like? Who are they as people? Do they have children? Where do they live? Like really having an affinity for people.
It comes down to, you don't need to know what I can do. You need to know what I can do for you.
Absolutely. That's
and
exactly
without knowing a little more about you, I don't know what to offer.
Right. And one of the, a mistake that we can make is we make assumptions. I'll never forget, I went to Catholic school. And the first time I heard that expression about assumptions was, assumptions make an ass out of you and me. It came out of the mouth of a nun. And I almost fell off my chair that my nun said ass. Ooh! So it really stuck with me. And I find that is a mistake that business owners make, is we make a lot of assumptions. We assume we know what they want, we know what they need, we know how much they have to spend. Three biggest mistakes is making those three assumptions.
Sometimes we assume they're not interested.
Exactly.
And we leave money on the table. Yeah.
Yes, we assume they're not interested. We assume they can't afford it. That's one of my favorites. I used to work back in my corporate days. I worked for AT&T, and back in the day, this is in the 1990s even, we had telephone stores where you could go in and buy the phone that you wanted, or you could get a Mickey Mouse phone, or you could get a Pretty Princess phone or whatever. And I had somebody, I was a manager there, and I had a guy who was working for me named Mike. You remember that story from Pretty Woman where Julia Roberts goes into the store and she's dressed down and nobody wants to serve her. And then she spends all her money and she comes back with all these bags and says, "Big mistake, you should have talked to me." That's what happened to Michael. He looks out the window. He sees this woman coming in. I see her coming in. I go, "Mike, go ahead and help this lady." And he looks at me and rolls his eyes like, "Oh, here comes another one with no money." And she did. She was very dressed down. She didn't really look. Anyway, he gets her. He talks to her. He gives her the lowest type of phone, the smallest package, because in his mind, he assumed how much she'd be able to pay. So he told me she's walking out and he comes up to me and says, see, she wouldn't buy anything. I said, really? So I watched her walk out of the store and she got into not just a car, but she got into a Rolls Royce and she got in the back seat because she had a driver and he thought she had no money. So you cannot assume what's in other people's pocketbooks. And that's a big thing that people tend to do. So don't assume. And what they need and what they want, that comes with you asking questions. One of the easiest things is to just bring them to the future. Imagine it's a year from now and this problem has gone away. What would your life look like? And get them to share with you what it is they want. Whatever it is you're doing, whether you're selling a natural product and you want to understand why people want it, you want to understand because you think you know why I want it, but you may not know that I have a child who has asthma. And when you know that and you speak to me with that, I have a greater affinity for you. I like you even more. You've listened to me. Of course, I want to buy from you.
And one more tip.
One more tip is nail your introduction. Make sure you know what you say when people say those magic words. What do you do? And so many people spend so much time agonizing over what to say that they make it so flowery that it makes no sense. Like I met a guy named Carlos at a networking and I said, Carlos, what do you do? And he said, I give your business a face. I was like, really? Like, what do you do? Headshots? He goes, no, I do websites. I said, oh, okay, well, that makes sense. So why don't you simply say, Carlos, I create websites that make you money. Why are you giving me a face? I don't want a face. I want money, right? So he did. The rest of that day at that networking event, it was an all-day event. The rest of that day, that's what he said. I create websites that make you money. He said he got 17 leads. It's the most he's ever got at any networking event that he's ever done. So nail your introduction. Your introduction starts with, who do you work with? Do you work with busy moms, entrepreneurs? Do you work with teams? Do you work with sales team? Who are your people? And then what's the problem they have? So is the problem that they aren't making the money they want? Is the problem that they know that there's poison in their cleaning product? Whatever it is that is the problem that you're trying to solve, you've got to put it on the table. And then the third thing is, what results do you get for them? So for example, it could be something like, I show frustrated entrepreneurs how to get over their resistance to making sales and follow-up calls so they serve more people, earn more money, and actually love doing it. So what is it? So who are your people? What's their problem? And what's the result they're going to get working with you?
Right. And if you can do it in 20 words or less, you're way ahead of the game.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And the shorter, the better. The more you say, the more you actually dilute your message.
Right. Because you want to get the engagement and you want to be intriguing enough that they start asking you questions.
Yes, absolutely. So nail your introduction. Know what it is. I have in this book, it's just a conversation, what to say and how to say it in business. We talk about how exactly to nail that introduction. We talk about networking and what to say when you're starting that conversation. We talk about follow-ups and how to make a follow-up call. It's been 6 months and I meant to call you. Now what do? I want to call, but I don't want to call. And how do I know? We give you all the words for that. Yeah. So you can get the book, and you can also connect with Women's Prosperity Network, because we're all in this together. So just join for free at womensprosperityNetwork.com. And these are the kinds of conversations that we have all the time.
Right. And check out Trish's book, because it's practical, tactical advice. It's not a lot of stories of how things went for somebody else who's not in your industry. So thank you so much, Trish Carr from Women's Prosperity Network. We'll put all kinds of links in the comments for people.
Thank you.
I'm Mary Scott with Business Riff. I want startups to be wildly successful. And one of the best things you can do is book a synergy call with me at businessriff.com. And join us again next time for Stuck, Time to Improv.